ACE is built for cloud and containers. IIB is built for your on-premise infrastructure for Windows and Linux, where you have a manager. So your data flow engine is your process, and your BIP broker, that's the manager who controls or who monitors your execution groups, your integration servers, and to see if they are in a started state and check their health. So in ACE, the benefit is you don't no longer need this manager. You can write your code and deploy that into a single process, and that single process can run within a container. That's your Kubernetes and the Docker containers, those images. So you run in them, you can shut them at any point in time that you wish, and you can start them whenever you feel like you have more load in your on cloud premise. These things, scaling up and scaling down is not as easy in IIB because you have a manager, because you have to set up an operating system, and then since it is a multi-process task, orchestration becomes much difficult when compared to ACE, which is a single process task. And when IBM built ACE, they have made sure to reduce the time it takes to start that particular process. If you execute MQSS stop command and MQSS start command on IIB, when you compare the time that it takes to ACE, where you execute integration server command to start that particular execution group, when you compare these two times, ACE always performs much better. The utilization of resources, that is CPU, memory, and disk, is much lower in ACE because IBM knows if you are running this on a container, if you're running this on the cloud, you pay for those resources. In IIB, you already purchased your resources for the entire year. In ACE, you're purchasing the resources for just that particular minute or just that particular hour. Next.
Right. So is it like similarly that we are using for the Amazon Web Services, that whenever the services is required, then we are paying for it, and then the
Exactly.
companies are paying for it when it does not. It's the same way that AC is working.
Yes, it is. You can use it as the same as IIB, where you have an operating system within your organization. You have a virtual machine uh, or a VM. Yes, and you can run your IIB and AC exactly the same. You can have managers called as BIP broker in both the cases, and you can run them exactly like that. But the benefit that you get with AC is you can run it as an independent data flow engine. You can run as a broker, as a child of the integration node, and you can run it independent of the integration. And I would say IBM was too late in this game. When everybody else started moving towards the cloud, IBM was still building its architecture and still designing. So they are late. They have just now come up with the Cloud Pak for integration and ACE. But now that they have these tools, I see many organizations preferring to go to ACE instead of going towards MuleSoft. So ACE is meant to be run on containers, and ACE you can run it on AWS, Amazon Web Services, or you can run it in IBM cloud infrastructure, or you can run. IBM also gives you a software as a service offering called Cloud Pak for integration, where you get MQ, where you get IIB, where you get ACE, where you get API Connect, all these things configured for you. and you don't have to manage the maintenance of it. That is installing the fix packs and upgrading it and things like that. You get a software where you deploy your bar file or you deploy your REST API uh, files, that is your API and product files within a API Connect language or API Connect lingo. And you only have to worry about your business offerings, which is, let's say, if you are a retail provider, you would concentrate on a particular sales of a particular inventory. So these things are the differences between IIB and ACE. There are many
Okay.
more things. IIB, the document I see, it was released in 2015. ACE came to market on 2018. What else? Something about virtual machines and policies. There are some differences in IIB and ACE when it comes to the way that we release our configuration values. So the configuration values would be when you want to connect to a database using JDBC, or you want to connect to an FTP system using the FTP configurable policy, or you want to connect to MQ using the MQ policy, and you have an external grid that is your global cache. When you want to connect to that, you have a configurable service for that as well. Now, the difference between IIB and ACE in that regard is ACE gives you policy projects that can be put inside a bar file. You cannot put a configurable service into an IIB bar file. You can put a policy project into an ACE bar file, which means it's a single step deployment.
Right.
You deploy your bar file and both the configuration and the code gets deployed at the same time. It's not a two-step activity. It's not applicable for all the configurable services in ACE. Currently, ACE gives you few things. It does not give you all of them. It gives you collector node, CISC connections, aggregation, activity log, email server, and IMS Connect. These things are provided in ACE as one-step deployment. You do not get Java class loaders and JDBC provider configurations in the policy projects.
Okay. All right.
I close the
Let me
first
move
document.
on. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Do you want to continue with this, the differences between IIB and ACE, or do you want to go to the next one?
No, you just continue. That's fine. I thought we are almost done there, so that's why I
What
thought.
happened was I closed the first document, which listed down these differences, and now moving on to the second document. I see that there are some differences in FixPack 8 with respect to the API integration API. The way that the classes are structured, the packages. In general case, not many people will use these COM IBM integration admin proxy classes. So there are some improvements that IBM has made, but we don't have to worry about that. We'll go to the next one, which is the keywords. So with IACE, they have given you an option where once you deploy your code, you can list the deployed artifacts using MQSI list command, and the application that you deployed will give you additional information that, with respect to the keywords. You can define your custom keywords and say some name value pair, which is not available in version 10. These are things which will make maintenance work easy. If you have a project where you just have code and not the proper documentation for it, these values that you have along with your bar file, along with the deployed artifact, will help the person who is maintaining the code. Next difference is with respect to the commands. the executable commands such as MQSI start and MQSI stop in version 11 now gives you access to stop and start integration servers, your applications, and other components. In version 10 IIB, we just had the access to stop broker and start a broker. You could not stop an application with MQSI stop command. Some things to make your life easy in version 11. Next, there's some differences in the user exit.
User?
Have you ever used this user exit library, user exit thing? It's something that you write in C language and you put it into your broker so that it will capture the values that go through a particular node. You can modify the data that flows through HTTP input node and thing that goes into a compute node's input terminal. So in Java, there's something called as aspect-oriented programming. So user exit, you can think of it as something similar to that. If you, there are some commercial tools such as Rational Integration Tester, where they use user exit of MQ Explorer so that they can capture the data going into a queue as and when the IIB application is pushing into it. So this would be so that the testing tool can know what data got generated by the application and it can push data to the system under test. So these are some special cases where user exit gets used. And in ACE, they have made some improvements on that user exit thing. Next, there's a concept of ACE Vault. So in version 10, when you had to save username and password, you would use MQSI setDB params command. In version 11, since you're not associating your username and password to the broker, you're only associating it to the work directory. That is your integration server. You can, since we can create one application in one container and the rest of the applications in another container, you can separate the username and password for them. The way that you would do it is you have a work directory. In IIB version 10, you had var MQSI folder with everything within it, in that registry and components directory. In version 11, in the work directory, you have something similar to separate individual brokers with its own registry, with its own components, with its own username, password. For those activities with ACE Fixpack 6, you have something called as MQSI credentials command and MQSI vault command for your username and password. That's too.
Yeah, I've seen a video which related with the MQ admin Explorer task. Like if we wanted to set the username and password to the integration server, we can able to achieve this through the MQSI working directory, and that is as you mentioned that we have it in the MQSI registry path where we have the registry files, which is
now you would see those registry files within the toolkit. What is that? What do you say? The your workspace. Earlier it was in var MQSI. Now it is inside your workspace. That is C in C users and RAM/IBM on your desktop, for example.
Right.
Yeah, these are some of the major changes. Yeah, that's about it. The differences between IIB and ACE.
Okay. Here is another question I have, but I think this is a little bit, I have missed it. The differences between the share variable, static variables, versus cache, and what happens after the deployment in the IAB or a broker.
Okay, let's talk about the variables in eSQL. Now, you asked me about shared variables. Shared variables are a concept within eSQL. So there you have variables within the scope of a method, within the scope of a module, within the scope of a schema. A broker schema would be, let's say, the projects that I create in com.wordpress.code to block schema. So the variables which are in that schema, or you can call them as a folder or a package, are not visible to the modules in another folder. So there's a folder level separation for that. And you can also have a separation when it comes to the procedures. The things, the variables that you declare inside a procedure or a function are not visible to the other procedures and functions. When it comes to a shared variable has the scope of the schema, but the retention period for a shared variable when compared to other broker schema level variable is that a shared variable can exist for the entire life cycle of a data flow engine. That's the time in between that you stop and start your execution group or stop and start your flow. That's application. If you don't stop and start your application, that variable will remain in memory for that entire duration. If you don't stop your application or don't stop your execution group, for example, for 5 days, you have that variable in memory for 5 days or 50 days or 500 days. If you don't declare your variable as shared, then the retention period for that is just as long as the message went through that particular flow. If you send 3 messages through a particular queue and through a particular flow, then all 3 messages will have different broker schema level values for that variable because you have not declared it as shared. When you declare it as shared, then the retention period increases to the life cycle of the life period of your data flow engine. They both have the same scope. That's a broker level scope, but the retention period is different. Some people use this, not some, many organizations use this shared variable to cache records. Since the data is available for, let's say, 500 days or 5 days, you can save some values in that variable to reduce your network traffic. If you are accessing a database to fetch some configuration data, you don't want to do this for each and every message that comes into your queue or each and every message that HTTP endpoint is getting triggered with. So what you will do, you will fetch your configurations only once from the data flow from the database, and for every other invocation of a message, you would fetch it from memory using the shared variable. What else? Are you happy with the shared variable, or did you want to ask something about that? I'll move on to the static thing.
I am happy. I felt like I have more than what I've read.
Okay. All right. Now the word static. Static is a keyword that is available in Java. It's used to define a method or an object or a variable, or you can have a static variable, you can have a static method. These are concepts that are associated with a class. They are not there is no static in ESQL. It's only in Java that you have the keyword static. When you have to call from ESQL to Java, you would declare a static uh, method in Java and declare it as external in ESQL, so that there's a link between ESQL and Java language, and you can call a procedure which is written in Java from ESQL. So that's one of the uses of static. Now, the the retention period for a static variable is as long as the process is alive. So if you have something running in IIB, so the retention period would be the whenever you stop and start your execution group. So same as a shared variable, retention period is the lifetime of an execution group. You declare a variable called as static, put something into that variable, and it can be used as a cache. You don't have to go through the network and do a database call every time. You can fetch from that static variable. We would not usually save information in a static variable when it comes to IIB. Even though it is technically possible, you can do it. You will not use a static keyword and store your configurations in Java memory space, because you will have to call from ESQL to Java and come back, which is a costly process. So you can save your configurations in ESQL, you can save your configurations in Java, but I say people usually don't save their configurations in Java because of the cost that is involved in the calling between two different languages, two different stacks. But some people who have started their career in Java will prefer to use a property file and save information into the Java memory space using singleton pattern. They store that thing once in the configurations once into the memory and then keep on accessing it. They don't care whether they have to use Java compute node or they have to use an external procedure call from ESQL to Java. They don't care about that. They use it because it's easier for them to develop. And the cost of calling from ESQL to Java is for them minimal. It's not a big deal, so they go for it. So we discussed about shared variables and how do we cache information into it. We discussed about static variables in Java and how do we cache information in that. There's a third option of caching. That's by using MB Global Cache. So IBM gives you a new feature called Global Cache. It's available in IIB version 10 and in the previous version 9 as well, I think. I don't recall it properly. So there you can define an external grid or an embedded grid and cache your records in that. So the cache that you get from, let's say, an embedded grid, which is a cheapest one that you get with the IBM's license that comes in built. You don't have to pay extra for that embedded grid cache. So in that particular option, if you save something into a global cache, again there you have to interact with Java. You have to save something into Java. Those are Java classes. MB Global Cache is a global map is a Java class. So if you put something in that object, it works similar to a static variable and a map object. So if you put something into that map using a key, you put some value into it, it will stay in that location until the expiry period. Expiry period can be defined by the developer. You can say expire it after 30 days or expire it after 24 hours. You can give a time to live for that particular cache. And it does not matter if your execution group is switched off and switched on. even though your execution group or your entire broker shuts down, you will still have information in that cache because of a redundancy policy that you can define. You can have 2 brokers and 4 execution groups, and you can say, save my data in all these execution groups or 4 of these execution groups and 2 of these brokers, and the data will never go away. You will not lose your data because at least one of those data flow engine processes would be active. So even though you stop and start your data flow engine, you would still have your data, which was not the case when you did it with shared variables or when you did it with static variables. Next, when you put something into MB global map, now that's with an embedded grid, you do not have persistence. You only have in-memory caching. So if the memory is wiped out, then your records are not available with you, saved in some file or some database or something like that. So if you need persistence, then you have to pay additional money and buy external grid software from IBM. If you do that, you can use this external grid global cache in other tools as well, like WebSphere application server and other tools. So you can, if you write something in IIB into cache, you can use that cache from WebSphere application server and other IBM products. If you go for the embedded cache, then if you write something in IIB, it can only be used in IIB. You cannot go between technologies. That's it.